Eritrea, a small nation on the Red Sea coast, the cornerstone of Eritrea's system is indefinite national service. Officially, it was meant to last 18 months. In reality, it often continues for decades. Young people are taken from schools and universities, sent into the military or state-run projects. Many never return to normal life. Farmers, teachers, engineers, all trapped in endless service. This militarization not only breaks families apart, but also cripples the economy, as the brightest minds flee the country. Segment 3, Silencing All Opposition. 1 minute, 10 seconds. Narrator. In 2001, a group of ministers and journalists demanded reform. They were arrested and disappeared. Independent media was shut down. Since then, Eritrea has had no free press, no opposition parties, no open debate. Citizens live in constant fear of surveillance, detention, or worse. Segment 4, Human Rights Crisis. 1 minute 20 seconds. Narrator. Reports from the United Nations describe a pattern of systematic human rights abuses, arbitrary arrests, torture in shipping containers, sexual violence, and forced labor. The result? One of the world's largest refugee crises. Hundreds of thousands of Eritreans, men, women, and children, have fled across deserts, through Libya, and across the Mediterranean Sea, searching for freedom and safety. Segment 5, International Relations. 1 minute. Narrator. Eritrea is a paradox. Isolated, yet deeply entangled in regional conflicts. The country has faced United Nations sanctions and accusations of destabilizing neighbors, including Somalia and Ethiopia. But alliances shift. During the 2020s, Eritrea's military was heavily involved in the war in Ethiopia's Tigray region, further deepening the suffering of both Eritreans and their neighbors. Segment 6, The Diaspora and Resistance. 1 minute. Narrator. Outside Eritrea, the diaspora has become the voice of the voiceless. Exiled journalists, activists, and refugees are raising awareness about the suffering of their people. Protests in Europe, North America, and Africa demand an end to dictatorship. Yet, the Eritrean government continues to collect money from citizens abroad through a controversial diaspora tax. Achieved independence in 1991 after a long and bloody struggle against Ethiopia. At the time, many hoped that freedom would bring peace, prosperity, and democracy, but instead, Eritrea has become one of the most repressive states in the world, ruled for over 3 decades by one man, President Isaias Afwerki. The Eritrean People's Liberation Front fought bravely for independence. In 1993, after a United Nations supervised referendum, Eritreans voted overwhelmingly for statehood. But almost immediately, President Isaias Afwerki consolidated power. No elections were held, no new constitution was implemented, and political opposition was silenced. Eritrea functions as a militarized state. The national service program originally intended to defend the country was turned into indefinite conscription. Young men and women are forced to serve in the army or state projects for years, sometimes decades, without end. This militarization gives the government control over every aspect of life. Families are separated, education is disrupted, and a whole generation grows up knowing only military discipline and state propaganda. Under Isaias Afwerki, freedom of expression does not exist. Independent media was banned in 2001. Journalists and politicians who dared to speak out were imprisoned, many never seen again. There is no parliament, no independent judiciary, and no civil society. Eritrea is often described as a giant prison where fear dominates daily life. Eritrea's government, has been accused of widespread human rights abuses. We're talking about arbitrary detention, torture in underground prisons, religious persecution, and forced labor through indefinite conscription. These abuses have, sadly, driven hundreds of thousands of Eritreans to flee the country. They risk deserts, traffickers, and even the deadly Mediterranean Sea in search of freedom. Because of its policies, Eritrea is, deeply isolated. It has been sanctioned multiple times by the United Nations and criticized by international human rights organizations. Yet, Isaias Afwerki remains in power, still defying global pressure. Some alliances with regional powers give him political survival, but the people honestly continue to suffer in silence. The true cost of Isaias Afwerki's rule is really borne by the Eritrean people. Families divided, dreams destroyed, generations lost to indefinite military service and repression. Eritrea has even been called the North Korea of Africa, a nation of resilience and potential reduced to fear, exile, and silence. But even in the darkest times, hope survives. Eritreans in the diaspora, continue to raise their voices. Inside the country, people quietly dream of a different future, one where freedom and dignity replace repression and fear. The question remains, how much longer will Eritrea's people have to wait for that day?